Hello, it's Karen Burniston here with my monthly designer challenge video. Our theme this month is Thinking of You, and my card is a slimline design, and I've incorporated a gatefold card onto the slimline with a fun pom-pom closure. So this is definitely a generic card idea that could be decorated for any theme, and at the end of the video I'll show you the inspiration for this card, which was a class card in a winter theme. And then for a color scheme, I took my inspiration from the Pantone 2021 Color of the Year, which combines yellow and gray. Okay, for the main section of my card, I started with a piece of gray cardstock that's 3.5 inches tall by 12 inches long. Then I scored that at 3/4 of an inch from the left side and 8.5 inches from the right side. So what this piece is going to make is my base card, 3.5 by 8.5, a slimline size, and then the left side of my gatefold card. So I'm folding that flap in, and then the small flap gets folded to the front. That one's going to hold the pom-pom. Okay, now I need another 3.5 inch strip of the same gray cardstock. This time my length is 7.25, and I've scored it at just 1/4 of an inch from the left side and then 4 inches from the right side. So this is going to represent the other half of my gatefold card, plus a little tiny fold over flap that I can use to grip when I want to open the card. I went stash diving for some pattern papers that would fit my color scheme, so I found a piece of gray with white spots, and I've just cut that down into a couple pieces that are going to fit that gray strip, and I'm just avoiding the score line with my panels. Then once my paper is in place, I can add some glue to that little skinny lip and glue it down. Okay, this is going to be the right side of my gatefold card. So this is the one that needs the hole in it, and that's going to grip my pom-pom. So I'm going to start by gluing the largest flower from the woven basket box card just butted right up next to my little lip. Then I'm going to take the medium flower from that same set and temporarily tape it in place so that it's centered right over the top of the big flower. Now you may have to run it through a couple times to get that flower to cut down through all of those layers, but then now what I have is my flower-shaped hole. Okay, so this piece is going to create the right flap of my gatefold card, so I can glue down the big section just lined up with the right side of my other strip, and then that will create that gatefold card. And then the other half of my closure is going to be the pom-pom. So I've marked down through the center so I know where to punch my hole in my flap to hold the pom-pom in place. I'm just using a crocodile, like the bigger side of it, like a 1/4 inch hole punch, but it wouldn't really matter. And just punching through that flap, just the flap itself, not through the whole card. When we were kids, we decorated our Christmas presents with pom-poms. So it's been a while, but I used to love making pom-poms. So what I like to do is take a little piece of yarn and put it between my 2 fingers, and then with that same yarn, I wrap around 2 fingers 30 to 40 times. I think I did 40 on this one. It sort of depends on the yarn. And then I can take that piece that I've got between my fingers and use that to tie the pom-pom. So with everything still on my fingers, I want to get those 2 tails around, and then I am going to start it like I'm tying off my shoes. So 1 time through, and then I find that I can cinch it even tighter if I go back through 1 more time. So essentially loop back the exact same piece again. So it's kind of like a double. And then get it started to where it's gripping your pom-pom, but then I want to take the time to get it off of my fingers. Otherwise, it's going to be hard to get it off my fingers. And then once it's off, then I just pull as tight as I can. So I don't want to snap the yarn, but just short of snapping the yarn. I want that really super tight so that it'll bring all of that yarn, those loops around to where it's a full circle. Okay, and then it's really important that you don't cut the tails. So I like to hold this by the tails as I trim the pom-pom. And step 1 is just to go through the loops, to cut them so that they're individual strands of yarn. And sharp scissors are a real must for pom-poms, so sharpen yours up on some tin foil or something if you need to, or find the sharpest pair you have, because it's just really annoying to try and do these with scissors that are not sharp. So right now I'm just finding all of the loops and snipping them so that I have individual strands of yarn. And then for trimming this down, you definitely want to work over your trash can or a little box or something because it is going to make a mess. And of course, I have sped up the footage considerably on this, but I'm just taking my scissors and just going around and just giving that pom-pom a serious haircut. And mainly always holding my tail so that I don't accidentally trim them. And I trimmed it way down until it was only about a 3/4 of an inch pom-pom so that it will fit in that flower-shaped hole. Okay, and then attaching it to the card is just going to be a matter of getting the tails through the hole and then just taping them down inside the flap. And I use just regular old gift wrap tape for that. It doesn't have to be anything pretty. It's going to get hidden anyway because I'm going to then glue that entire flap down. That will trap the yarn inside the flap and hide all of the tape. Okay, so now when the card is closed, I can just press that flower-shaped hole down over the pom-pom and it will grip. Our crosshatch long rectangles are designed for slimline cards, so I've used the largest one on the back of the card to just give it more stability, and plus I chose the yellow so if I wanted to write something back there I could. And then I just finished out the gray polka dot paper on the front of the card, and then I found another stash paper, an older piece, that was in a nice yellow for inside the card. Now this would not need to be a pop-up card. You could definitely just decorate this however you choose, but I decided I did want to make it a pop-up card. And for an element on my pop-up, I am going back to my woven basket box card again and doing the weaving strips on just one panel. If you are unfamiliar with the woven basket box card, I do invite you to watch the assembly video on that die. Now you always find assembly videos by just going to our website, KarenBurniston.com, and then search in the search box for what you want, in this case the woven basket box card, and then right on the product page the assembly video will be there. Okay, so I finished up the weaving of one panel, and then I'm just going to take my scissors and cut along the score line to get down to just that one panel. Now since I'm doing a slim line, I don't have a ton of room. I decided that I wanted to trim this down a little smaller. So I just cut off the far right side down to the first weaving strip. And then because I did that, I have to go in with some glue and glue down those little loose strips. And for the height, I decided to take 2 sections off the bottom. Once again, I will have to go in and just lift up any ends of strips and glue them down. There's a spotted vine die that comes in that woven basket box card set, so I've cut that 3 times and attached it, and then I'm going to add a few flowers. Then I die cut the smaller angled platform from our Mini Pops pop-up die set. So step 1 with that platform is just to fold it in half and then find the fold lines that are about midway through each stem. All 3 folds fold in the same direction like mountains. So I glued one panel down so that it's lined up next to the fold, and it's just that outer panel that's glued down. And then what I want to do is just hold everything flat while I add adhesive to the other outer panel, stopping at the fold line, and then just keeping it flat, I close the card against the exposed adhesive. And this is why I love a dries clear glue, because I have been a little sloppy here and I have glue kind of everywhere, but it will dry clear. So I just want to make sure that that's all adhered nicely inside the card, and you can see how that works. It's just a simple little angled pop-up platform. Now the adhesive goes on the left side of the fold, on the upper part of the platform, and then that's going to rotate the flower pot down when the card is closed, and then I just have to keep moving it until I get a position where it stays within the card. So since my problem area is the bottom edge of the card, that means that the flower pot needs to move more to the left, because that's what actually raises it up in the finished closed position. And again, think of these videos for the techniques. You could put anything on that pop-up. It does not have to be a little flower pot. Now I can create a flower-shaped frame for the inside of the card as well by just using the same 2 flower dies. And that flower works particularly well for this technique because all of the petals are the same, so it's easy to line up. Okay, I can use the card to help me decide where additional flowers can go in the bouquet and still stay within the card when the card is closed. So that's just a matter of kind of working in both open and closed positions to decide where flowers can go. There's a die in that woven basket box card set that cuts 10 flower center circles at one time, and I just cut those out of a shiny mirror black cardstock. There's a circle garland border in our Border Blends party set, and that works perfectly for this card. And then I'm just trimming it out with a couple more flowers. And then I also added some of those medium flowers to the right panel. Then for a place to write a personal greeting, I assembled one of our slim frames and then just trimmed out the corner with another one of the flowers. There is also an oval frame in the slim frame set, so I put that on the front of the card, and then the thinking of you out of our word set 10. And then the same elements as the inside, so the same borders and the same little flowers. This finished card will fit in a regular business number 10 envelope like any other Slimline, but of course it has height to it because of the pom-pom. And the pom-pom does squish down a little bit, but it's not going to squish down enough to get this card under 1/4 of an inch. So you will need extra postage, or of course you can save this type of technique for the cards that you give in person. So I wanted to show this technique because I had designed a class card with it and I just loved it. This was a winter version with a white pom-pom and then a snowflake shaped hole. And then I used that same Mini Pops angled platform inside to animate the snowman. I've been inspired by some of Fran's cards to have the snowman looking up into the sky. So definitely explore other shapes that you could use with a pom-pom to create a closure like this. So maybe for Valentine's, it's a heart, or maybe for a birthday card, it's a balloon. So let me know in the comments section below what you think about Pantone's 2021 colors of the year. I ended up really liking this color scheme, the gray and the yellow together. It probably wouldn't have been what I would have naturally thought of for this card, so that was a fun challenge. You will also find a link to the blog post. Thanks for watching. If you click on the website link, you'll go to KarenBurniston.com, where you can find out information about purchasing these dies, as well as links to all my other social media accounts. You can subscribe to this YouTube channel and check out some of my other videos. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.